Good morning. This is your girl, Sister Cherry Love. Coming to you this morning. Peace and blessings to all of you. I'm coming to you again early in the morning. I'm not going to be on here long. I just wanted to address a few things from last night's show. Well, not mainly too much from last night's show, but from the show from the night before. On Debate Talk for You. And before I start, I want to give a shout out to Debate Talk for You, Sal Showtime again. Thank you so much for us allowing us to be guests on your show and to bring forth what we needed to bring forth. So to him, peace and blessings, and thank you so much. We have so much respect and love for you, Brother Sal, and as well as your show. To the audience of Debate Talk for You, if you decide or run across my channel or whatever, I want to say thank you so much for attending, Christian and Hebrew Israelite alike. Wow, last night was a mind blower. The first night was as well. Didn't expect it to really go that way, but it did. And I won't lie, I'm happy about it. But the first night was, I don't even know how to describe it, listening to the audio. Not talking about being on the panel or anything, or even talking to some of the audience members, but talking about that audio. Because mind you, again, if you hadn't heard me the first time, I have never heard that audio before, the night before or last night, both sides, part one and part two. That was my very first time hearing it. Now I know you like, wow, Sister Cherry, why didn't you listen to it? So you can be, ready for it. I don't know. I don't know. And I heard about it, when it was discussed, and I heard it was pretty bad. So I kind of just, dismissed it from my mind and just waited for, to appear on Debate Talk for You. So that's where I'm going to leave that at. So yeah, I was a first time listener of that audio as well. And so it was like sitting out in the audience, just like first time listening. And I was like, OMG right now, what is this man doing? Like, wow. Okay. So anyway, I reviewed it again to, listen to the show from, I think that was Tuesday night. And while I'm listening, I was reading some of the comments that was left. And, don't take this the wrong way. Shield Squad and SOG, hey, we are open to, everybody's free to give their opinion or their position or standpoint. Cool, no problem, no issue. But when you start talking crazy and start throwing in all of this hypocrisy and things start really going to the left. Good morning, Sister Ange.
Morning.
When you start going to the left, with whatever, not addressing the comments. And I know you guys heard me last night on part two when I had to cut the guy off. I'm like, look, we're not going to do this. This is not a debate. No, this is a discussion to a situation, to the evidence, to the result of what this particular camp is doing. And not only this particular camp is doing this, IUIC is doing it, GMS is doing it, ISUPK is doing it, I'm sure GOCC is doing it, AOC, etc. I know this is going on. So let's not play games, okay? And so when the gentleman came in to, I'm going to say, in my opinion, and this is me, this is not the bearing of Shield Squad or anybody else, trying to bait my brother Cyril into a debate to literally steer off the particular subject, I felt immediately the moment to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. It wasn't to Cyril. Cyril was addressing the question. That's fine. I'm talking about that gentleman who decided to try to debate Cyril into a debate. We're not here to debate. We're here to discuss what went down in this particular situation. And guess what? This ain't the only situation. It's more. It's more situations just like this. Not to mention, as I told you guys, this thing been going on for 48 years. Now that's 2 years off of 50 years. This has been going on for 4 decades and 8+ years. So again, I ask the audience members to take the sister's situation plus the few that we brought out, plus the few that we read in comment sections who literally say, yeah, this has happened to me, male and female. So don't take this is a feminist movement. No, not at all. But I said, take those situations and ask yourself, how many times has this happened? Now, mind you, IUIC got started, I believe, in 2003. If I'm incorrect, I'm sorry. But really, I don't care if IUIC got started 30 days ago and you produce results like this, you don't need to be in effect at all. You need to be stopped. But the case may have you that IUIC, I believe, started in 2003. This is 2017. So dealing with just the IUIC, how many marriages have been ripped apart? How many people have been driven to suicide or became suicidal? How many children have been displaced because the one parent has been told that, oh, that child is an Edomite, that child is not part of the nation of Israel, cast that child away. Okay, so again, you need to ask yourself these questions. And it seems like a lot of y'all, Christian and Hebrew Israelite, but not so much from the Christians, because they're feeling. But you Hebrew Israelites, Israelite, Black Hebrew Israelite, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever, on this particular side have become numb. I'm going to say that again. You have become numb and accustomed to say, well, they fellow Israelites, I can't speak against them. So just act like I don't see it. Or just act like, I heard what she said, but I'm going to act like I don't hear it. That's wrong. That's wrong. Because I'm going to tell you something. Just to give you a scenario. What if, and this is to the Hebrew Israelite, what if you're walking down the street and you're by yourself and, left, right, whatever corner that you decide to turn down, and somebody comes up to you and just decides to rob you. Now, trust me, I'm not advocating that, and I hope that never happens to you, but somebody comes up to rob you. And then there's about, let's say about 4 or 5 people just standing there. Are you looking for those people to help you? And they're looking at the situation. And what if those people's like, oh, well, I don't want to get involved. Oh, well, that's a fellow Israelite robbing that other Israelite. I'm not going to intervene. I'm going to act like I don't see it. Let me just go back in my house. Really? And then all of a sudden, guess what? Things go too far and escalate. And guess what? That person that you could have possibly helped save, they lose their life. Yeah, see, these are questions. These are heavy hitter questions that y'all don't want to deal with. And that's wrong. That is wrong. And I've seen this plenty of times. And It will be myself will be the only one to call the police when I literally see a male beating up on another female, like physical abuse. I mean, I'm talking about throwing them punches, blows to the face, and people standing around just looking at it. Black folks, the ones that you call Israelites, standing around speculating. Yeah. And I know you like, well, you stood there. No, I didn't just stand there. Hey, on this phone. Hey, 911, help this lady, blah, 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 giving them the address, where we at and all this other stuff. Something is being done. Something is being done. And then finally, when the police show up, oh, now you guys want to run somewhat to the rescue. Still speculating. Still speculate. And this is exactly almost like that. I'm not saying that, y'all physically hit her, but the sister said that she experienced abuse in the house. She told you what that abuse was. She told you what was going on. And then if she hadn't and something happened to her, the first thing that you fools gonna say, well, she should have said something. Ha! What a joke. Stop playing. Y'all play too many games, like seriously. See, you're okay speculating inside, being playing spectator on the side until it hits your front door. Now, for you Hebrew Israelites who are in this particular thing, okay, well, you'll say I'm an Israelite, so she's speaking against me or whatever. Okay, but there's other situations that can hit your front door. And now you're crying out looking for help. Just ask Gorilla Hebrew, who was every bit of arrested, about 2-3 months ago? And the main one that's sitting up here and speaking against Christians, but then the first one to run to what? Suffer as a Christian. Peter. Stop it. Stop it. The hypocrisy. But anyway, so let me drop over here and start screen sharing real quick. So I want to show you guys something. It was disgusting. And I was kind of bothered by it. Well, not kind of. I was real bothered by it. So this was the discussion from Tuesday. And let me go up here. And I'll show you who I want to address. And I'm going to address these other people too. So I believe her name is Avia Israel. Let me read to you what she said. She says this woman, Ange, is so far out of line, as well as the show. Well, the show is the platform, Ava. It's the platform that, that's the point of the, debate talk for you. Have different people to come on the show to discuss their views. So I will say to you, leave Sal out of this. All right? If you have an issue directly to us or to the person that was speaking, the sister that was speaking, look, address her. Don't address Sal. Sal is the platform. Okay? All right. That's number one. IUIC is very open and vocal about husbands abusing their wives and how it's not condoned. Oh, really? If you are having problems with your marriage, there are elders in leadership that will counsel you and age-wise women to speak with you as well. Let me tell you something, Ava. That was the dumbest thing that you could have said. Either obviously you are blind, which I believe you are, and you are deaf, which I believe you are somewhat, or you hear what you want to hear. Because clearly, who was sitting at the table advocating divorcement? It was an IUIC officer. Okay? Clean the wax out your ears. Focus, honey. Stay with me. It was an IUIC officer sitting at this sister's table with her and her husband in between advocating divorcement. Okay, I don't know, understand what part you don't understand, but go to school, baby, go to school. And then the other part where you said there are wise women to speak with you as well. Okay, we clearly understand that you're not one of those women. And then regarding of the rest of the women at IUIC, you barely see them. You don't see them. No, you don't. You barely see them. If you do, it's a sprinkle. And if you do hear them, they're talking about baking unleavened bread. This sister is not looking for unleavened bread. This situation is more serious than, way serious than unleavened bread. Okay? So, no, don't even throw that in there. And half of these women don't even know about half of the women in the Bible. And I'm sure that you're probably one of those women. So stop it. Coming up here talking about some speak well with these women. Girl, please. Here we go. The fact that there isn't a man of leadership within IUIC, not there to defend the organization, is also wrong. Let me tell you something, Ava. Avia, whatever your name is, you Israel, whatever you want to call you. Darling, they have been invited thousands of times, even before this particular thing came out. Okay, before this session, part 1 and part 2 came out, they have been invited by Shield Squad and SOG to come and have a discussion, to come and have a debate with us, and never answered. I can show you proof, documentation, emails, etc. Stop it. Sal sent out the invitation to them to defend their side, to them to answer with, to talk with this sister and other people who have given testimony, and they have declined. Hush. Hush. Don't say nothing else after this unless you're going to respond to what I'm saying. And I will invite you on my platform as well, which I doubt that you will have the guts to show up, because you know exactly what I'm going to do. Checkmate. Lord. What else did she say? This woman only invested 15 minutes into learning about what her husband was involved in. Darling, if it took her 15 minutes or less to figure out that this was some foolishness, then my question to you, why haven't you figured it out yet? However long you've been in this mess. Because if we talking about some years that you let go by of brainwashing, and it only took this sister only 15 minutes, something is wrong. Then your sensitivity to the word of God is dull, meaning that you're not sensitive to the word of God. In fact, I don't even think you're paying attention. Not at all. Here we go. Where's the next one? Okay. If what truly matters, if what truly mattered to him mattered to her, she would have took the time to listen to the classes. Why would she listen to anything that is damaging? Remember, you just said it took her 15 minutes to reject this, and I believe it took her less. She'll let us know. I believe it took her less than that, but maybe it did take 15 minutes. But again, why would she want to interject herself into some classes that already showed itself within 15 minutes to be wrong, out of control, out of place, and detrimental. Ask yourself these critical questions. Come on, critical thinking. Comprehend. And I'm not being disrespectful to you. I need you to open up your mind and use that, that thing between your skull and the cranium called your brain. Oh, brother. Tell our brothers to be a man and take care of their wives and children, to be self-sufficient, and women to be modest and no longer partakers of whoredom. Is not a hate group. Those subjects, those very subjects, no issue with that. But hold on. When you start literally, excuse me, when you start literally spewing hate, and they do spew hate, I challenge you to show me a video, one video or the other videos where IUIC not spewing hate towards white people, towards Chinese people, saying other nations are not going to be involved with God and God is not involved with other nations. And that is a lie. And that has been twisted. Stop it. And yes, I'm down with women, being dressed in modest apparel. But I'm not finna wear no pillowcase, dear. No, I'm not. Now, if you want to wear a rag on your head with a pillowcase with some strings hanging on from the bottom, that is your own affair. But do not come telling nobody else because they don't want to dress like their pillowcase or whatever it may have you with this rag on your head, that the Most High gonna kill them and God gonna kill them. No, no, wrong again. And yes, men are to take care of their wives and their children. And guess what? Wives are to take care of their husbands and their children. Yes, it goes both ways. You see how this works? That's called family. That's called marriage. That's what it's called. Not domination. Not controlling and abusing another person because you feel you can and you got this false sense of power. I'm an Israelite. Shut up. Absolutely wrong. Checkmate again. Oh, boy. Where else did I leave off with the foolishness? Okay, here we go. You say labeling IUIC as a hate group is solely based on the fact that they teach that we are needed special despite what Caucasians have taught us to believe, and we should have our own. Yes, Black folks should have their own. I don't have an issue with that. That's great. And what else did you say? That black skin is beautiful. Yes, black skin is beautiful. I'm dark skinned. Black skin is beautiful, as well as Chinese skin, as well as Hispanic skin, as well as white skin, as well as any other color skin, purple, pink, orange, whatever God has made, it is good. You see how that works? See, you didn't make anything. IUIC didn't make anything other than confusion. But whatever God made, yes, is good. Let me ask you a question. Did God create the black man and the black woman? Yes. Did God create the Hispanic woman and the Hispanic woman and the Hispanic man? Yes. Did God create the Chinese man and the Chinese woman? Yes. Did God create the African? Yes. Did God create the Russian? Yes. Did God create all of these other nations? India, Pakistan. God is the creator of all of these people. My question to you, what have you created other than confusion? Stop it. Next. And your natural hair is phenomenal. Okay. IUIC promotes self-love. Really. Okay. Dignity and worth. Really. To include for our people. Really. I joined a particular area, and although my experience wasn't the greatest, wow, let's stop there. Avia, whatever your name is, you just literally, darling, contradicted yourself. You did. Let's see, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 lines of straight hypocrisy, and now you come in and say that your experience with the IUIC wasn't the greatest. I wonder why. Could it be possibly of what I just brought out? Could it be possibly what some of the sister was bringing out, or a lot of what she was bringing out? Because if they was so great, what you trying to run down here, your butt will be sitting up in there. And obviously you got some kind of sense not to walk your behind up in there. So again, your experience with them wasn't the greatest. I wonder why. But you want to come up here and fix your mouth and put your mouth on this sister and tell her she's wrong for calling out maybe the very wrong that you seen. Stop it. This is what I'm talking about, that deaf eye and that deaf ear, that blind eye and that deaf ear. You want to co-sign something even though you know in the heart of hearts that it's wrong. You put yourself out there. You did this to yourself. I'm just reading the very words that you type, your thoughts that come out of your brain onto this screen, and literally I am hitting you back with your own words. You know that this, what was done to this sister and a few other people, and I ain't gonna say a few, quite a bit of people whose lives have been endangered. You know it's wrong, but you are too much of a coward to call it out. That's low. That's low, Avia. That's low. You ain't right. Okay. And don't be sitting up here calling yourself no woman of God doing all of that, because you sure ain't not doing that. Let me see what else. Blah, 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 blah. I would never speak ill of IUIC as a whole. Okay. I still watch and partake in classes. But you won't bring yourself up in there. You are okay. This is contradiction all around. Hypocritical. Contribute and keep to the commandments to the best of my ability. Avia, Israel, find me a scripture where it says keep the commandments to the best of your ability. Find that. Give me that scripture. Give me that scripture where it says to keep the commandments to the best of your ability. And I guarantee you this, it ain't there. Just like Hebrew Israelite ain't there. Just like Black Hebrew Israelite ain't in the Bible, but that's some foolishness that y'all went ahead on and made up. Now you just want to say Israelite. And y'all just changed that back in February. So don't think you fooling people, okay? Let me see. I still watch for taking classes complete. Okay, here we go. To the best of my ability, aside from attending the particular location. So you do attend. But you got issues. I'm a little confused here. So I need you to make that a little bit clearer in case you do respond. But this ain't looking good for you. Much respect to the bishop and the leaders of IUIC. This woman is wrong and has a spirit of rebellion. Really? How? Really? How? I need you to come and prove that. Because she tried to get some type of understanding of what was going on. She took time to research this thing all the way through. She even had this man who called himself an officer who literally disrespected her in the very house that she pays bills in. Light, gas, water, heat.
Can I speak?
Rent. Yes, ma'am. I'll stop.
You know, I have a policy where I don't address comments. Peace and blessings, everybody. Thanks for listening. I don't address comments, so you won't ever see me in the comment section addressing anybody's foolishness. Hold on. You only see me addressing comments of people who are trying to get help. And no, leave it up because I'm going to read it.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to read from it.
Okay, hold on. I'm just going back here so I can.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
So I don't address people's comments. I don't do that, but I'll make exceptions every now and again, and never in the written portion. Sorry, because that just doesn't make sense for me. I'm only trying to help people who are looking for help. So if you want to be where you are, I will. You can stay. So that's fine with me. The other people will try to help you. That's not my audience. So let me address what this woman said. Okay, IUIC is very open and vocal about husbands abusing their wives. That's interesting. If you listen to the video, then you know that the officer was right there. So one of the side conversations that was going on in the audio was when the officer was saying that, you know, husbands rule over their wives, but it's not like you tell her what to do, say you got to do this, and then slap her. And if you notice, if you go back to that part, that there was a side conversation going on with me and my husband. And the reason there was a side conversation going on is because I referenced him pushing me when that officer said that. I said it out loud right there about him pushing me, and he's looking foolish, looking at the wall and trying not to look at me at that time that I'm mentioning that. So while I want to make sure that I'm clear, he pushed me one time. There was not physical abuse throughout this ordeal. That was the only time. So I'm not actually, in my spiel of the different types of abuse, I don't list physical abuse, but he did push me one time. So we're having that conversation. And then the next thing the officer says is, oh, you shouldn't provoke. And then my husband tried to turn to me and say, yeah, you shouldn't provoke. No, I cannot provoke you to push me. And that's nonsense. So we're not going to go on to that. Furthermore, when he did push me, it was because he was trying to go into the nonsense. It turned into an argument, and I said, let's change the subject. He did not want to change the subject, and I said, fine, I am going to get up and go into our bedroom and read. And when I went to get up, he pushed me. So that was because he was upset that I would not stay in the foolishness with him and start arguing. So I really need you to be careful about what you're talking about. No, I ain't saying they going out here telling you to hit nobody, but I'm certainly not telling you they don't condone it. And if they don't, then I guess you need to call them up and say, hey, this sister just said her husband abused her, so you can get it addressed. That is what you should be doing, not this nonsense you're doing with these comments. So let me continue on. So if I had a problem within my marriage, there's elders and leaders. Yet again, like we said, I believe an officer, according to you, is considered a leader in your group. Yeah, the leader's in the house talking the nonsense. So you wanted me to turn to the leader who talking nonsense, telling my husband to divorce his wife, to then say, hey, it's not going well. Yeah, you wonder why it's not going well. You don't turn to the people destroying your marriage to get help for it. It doesn't work. I'm going to carry on. The fact that there isn't a man in leadership, stop it. Stop it with the foolishness. Find me the videos with the leaders on it. We're not even going to spend time wasting addressing this. Sal, move a little bit down in that comment section so we can see Sal's response to this woman.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is what Sal said. Believe it or not, every time I invite brothers from the major camps, especially the elders, to come to speak, teach, or defend, they decline. It's unfortunate. Please move back up to this woman. Okay, so we don't have to say anything else about it. They ain't gonna be there because they know why, and you know why they ain't gonna be there. So I'm gonna carry on. This woman only invested 15 minutes into learning about what her husband was involved with. Ma'am, I know you're not as dense as you look in this comment section. I know you're not. So we're going to put on our thinking cap. I never said I only invested 15 minutes. I said at the point in which my husband made a comment and said we might have to have a divorce, which is within 30 days of him introducing it to me, that I did a quick search on it. And it only took 15 minutes. And frankly, it didn't take 15 not to see the foolishness. So it's very clear. See, I'm not brainwashed. See, I'm not looking for something. I don't feel inadequate. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know all that stuff. So I'm not looking for this nonsense. So I'm not looking at it from your angle. I'm doing objective research. Probably you should take the opportunity to try to do some of that yourself. Let me continue on.
Mm-hmm.
If what truly mattered to him mattered to her, she would have took the time to listen. Classes, child, stop it. I'm going to ask you to sit down on that. I ain't listening to no classes. I don't have to listen to no classes. Like I said, you don't have to teach the gospel. You can walk the gospel. So if my husband, who I described to you as a wonderful, loving, honest, great husband, turned into a vile, disgusting human being, I ain't got to look at no class. I can look at him. You walk in Christ. You don't have to speak it. You walk it. You live it. So I don't have to look at no classes. Let me continue on. Telling our brothers and men to take care of their wives and children is not a hate group. No, that's not a hate group. Yeah, you're right. Telling your men to take care of their wife, children, be self-sufficient, and women to be modest and no longer partakers of whoredom, like Sister Cherry said. Yes, that's not a hate group. Unfortunately, IUIC isn't any of the above that you just mentioned. So I don't know why you're trying to put that in here. IUIC isn't that. How many videos you want us to show you right now that is the opposite of that? So, child, stop it. We don't have to even go there. That is what you just described in that sentence is not IUIC. That's what you want IUIC to be, but that is not what it is. It's only based on the fact that they teach that we are indeed special. IUIC teaches you're special, and that's why they're a hate group. Yeah, that would be negative, despite what Caucasians have taught us to believe. Okay, fine, whatever, that's fine. That black skin is beautiful. Yes, it is. And your natural hair is phenomenal. That's interesting that your natural hair is so phenomenal that you always got it covered. Oh. Okay. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. By the way, my hair is natural. So there's no problem with that. See, you don't know anything about me. See, what I'm not doing on here is talking about all the things that makes no sense that my husband is arguing about, that we're going back and forth about. Let me tell you something. We never ate pork in our house. We didn't fry food in our house. We ate very healthy in our house. And anytime we did eat something outside of what you all think is following the laws of the Bible, it was when we went out to eat on occasion, just because we were being healthy. So my husband arguing about some eating pork and shrimp and whatever, but it wasn't in our house anyway. My husband can't tell you the last time he saw me eat any of those things. So what we really talking about? See, y'all keep running y'all mouth about stuff y'all don't know nothing about. You don't know what nobody consuming. So I wasn't even willing to engage in a discussion with my husband about the foods because we wasn't eating it anyway. And seeing as I'm doing all the cooking, then I know what we eating. Okay, I'm going to let you go ahead and marinate on that. I'm going to continue on. IUIC promotes self-love, dignity, and worth. Self-love, dignity, and worth. That's interesting. My husband don't love himself more. My husband don't have no dignity. Look at him. You should have seen him in that room where their officer telling him to speak, be quiet, raise his hand for my husband to stop. He looked like a fool. You don't have your wife seeing you like that and try to call yourself a man. Are you nuts? And his worth, the worth of your people, that's interesting. The worth of your people. Which people? The people in IUIC? Oh, that's interesting. That's not the bulk of the people. My husband don't love people more. My husband loved people before he got into IUIC. He certainly don't love people now. He don't love nobody. He can't even love himself. He don't know what love is because he think love is keeping commandments. So if love is keeping commandments and nobody following the commandments, then I guess he don't love anybody, right? If love is keeping the commandments and he ain't keeping the commandments, this best of your ability foolishness you talking about. So you ain't keeping the commandments. He ain't keeping the commandments. But if you love me, you keep my commandments, which means he don't love himself. He don't love you and he don't love nobody else. So tell me about this love again. What we talking about? I'm going to go ahead and continue on. You joined a particular area, and although your experience wasn't the greatest, oh, wow. The hypocrisy right now. You should have started with this sentence and went from there as opposed to what you did start with. Why don't you share with us that your experience wasn't the greatest? Now, see, I ain't been in the camp and would never go. So I'm not going to have any experience about internally. So why don't you share with us why it wasn't the greatest, but you will never speak out about them as a whole? I bet you won't. Even if they did something terrible to you, to your family, ripping up everything else, you would never speak negatively about them. And why is that? See, I critique things that I think is great or good to make them better. That is what critique is about. I want to speak out about you to help you, but yet you sitting here talking about you can't speak out. I wonder why. I wonder what they would say to you if you did. Wonder if they do what you're doing right now. Okay, but we gonna move on. You still watch, partake in class, contribute. Yeah, I ain't got time for that. Much respect to the, I ain't got time for that. This woman is wrong and has the spirit of rebellion. Ma'am, I think you want to sit down right now. I'm telling you, better sit down. You're lucky you in the comment section. I don't think you want to do this. Sensitive should not be a word to describe her husband anyway. You should stop it, ma'am. You should stop it. You should stop it. The show is wrong for not having a leader. The leader wasn't going to be on the show. But in fact, the leader was on the show because you heard his audio. Guess what you didn't say in this comment section? Oh, that officer was wrong. He clearly told that man to divorce his wife, which is against the principles of IUIC that he said in the beginning. That's what you didn't say. In fact, that's not what anybody who called in said. Tell me the person, with the exception of the woman who really is a Christian, but says she believes she's an Israelite. I imagine that's spiritual, but I don't have any problem with that, sister. Thanks for calling in. But everybody else, see, the first thing out of everybody's mouth should have been, dear sister, I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. That was wrong. And whatever we can do to help, let us do that. And then they should have went into their next comments. But that never happened. I wonder why it never happened. Nobody addressed the testimony. Nobody addressed the audio and what that officer was doing. Nobody addressed any of that. I wonder why nobody addressed that, Miss Avia. Exactly. So I'm not going to sit up here and talk about all this nonsense and foolishness that not only you, but my husband involved in. My husband brought some nonsense, not only into our home, but into our life, and destroyed our marriages. See, when he goes before Christ, when he take his last breath, whether that be today, tomorrow, next week, or sometime in the future, you want to know who not going to be there with him? Avia ain't going to be there with him. I almost said something. That fool of an officer will not be there with him. Nathaniel Ben Israel will not be with him. In fact, none of the brethren will be in there with him. He's going to be by himself. And nobody ain't going to be coaching him. And so when he get before Christ and looking for that black face that he won't be able to see, when he looking for all these things that he been told was important, when he looking at that image that he holding around, trying to tell people this is Jesus and this is what Christ looked like, when he ain't finding that image and he all alone with Christ, see, things gonna change. But maybe the Lord will have mercy on his soul before he get there so that he can turn around and find the error of his ways. But if he don't, he will be right there with you. Don't worry. He will be. And his brethren will be there too. All of you will be together in the lake of fire. So that's what my commentary is on these comments. Carry on, Sister Cherry. Thank you. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Yeah, no problem, sister. Whew. Well, where's a fan at? Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Sister Ange, for those comments and addressing that. Yeah. I find myself not being able to follow up behind you when you speak, but I love it. But yes, to this lady, and another thing that I was looking for, that the officer clearly said, because you didn't believe that Jesus was black. If a person don't believe that Jesus is black, then that's, I guess, what it was, a spiritual fornication or something like that. And that was a reason to divorce that person.
Right. That is what he said. By the way, and I have never answered that for that officer or for my husband. I've never even answered it. By the way, my husband and I have never worshiped a white Jesus.
Me
In
neither.
fact, we have always had the same belief. So now all of a sudden you asking me questions about what you've known for all the years we've been together. So that's an interesting concept, but I have another story for that at another time. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I went and scanned all the Bible engines to see where does that say that, and it's not there. And a lot of the things that he was saying was interjected. If you notice, you kept hearing Brother Cyril say, "You're interjecting." Now, let's look at what the Bible says about interjecting and subtracting, because apparently you don't understand when I've said that. I've mentioned about this scripture 1,001 times, and it just seems like you don't get it. So let's go there. Let's go here. Okay. Look at this. What it says here, starting at verse 18, Avia, and everybody else who will listen to this. For I testify unto you, every man that heareth the word of prophecy of this book, which is the Bible, if any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. Verse 19, and if any man shall take away from the word of this book, of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. Y'all got a problem, because you're adding and you're subtracting. God told you that's a no, 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 no. That's a no, no. So why are y'all doing it? That is another question I will put out there to you. You're not supposed to interject or eject. I'll go a different way, because a lot of y'all act like you don't understand comprehension. You're not supposed to add or subtract from the book called the Bible. So why are you doing this? And again, I observed where this man was trying to make his argument. It wasn't from these 66 books so much. He was mainly running to what? The Apocrypha. I looked again. Jesus never quoted from the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is not canonical. Not truly, no. Now it tells you that in between, I believe that's what, 450 years of God's silence, him being quiet, and it's a complete contradiction to the 66 books. It's not God inspired. So yes, in the King James 1611, it was there. But if you go and read when King James and the scholars were literally translating all of this stuff, King James didn't even really want to be bothered with the Apocrypha. He didn't want it there. He did not. But they put it there because something went down, something happened, or whatever. It's a long story. But go and do the research. And the Catholic Church, they use the Apocrypha. And these are the very people that you speak against, but you reading the same. Come on, this is ridiculous. Not
Sister Cherry, wait a minute, I gotta say something real quick. I think I said
okay.
it on I think I said it on the testimony, the first part one, but the story about, so when they told my husband to get a Bible with the Apocrypha, he looks all over, he can't find a Bible, and so he has to get the Catholic one, of course, because they're the only one who's going to have the Apocrypha in it. So the Catholic Bible has a picture of the Pope in it. And so he's upset about this picture of the Pope. I don't want him in here. I said, but you got a Catholic Bible. Like, what's the issue with the Pope? You're using the Catholic Bible. Why don't you want him in? He ultimately ended up ripping the Pope out. Ripping the Pope out didn't take the Catholic doctrine away from what you
It
was
sure
using.
didn't. It sure
It sure didn't. But instead of saying to yourself, why is it that I can only find the Apocrypha in the Catholic Bible? Instead of saying that and researching it to see why, it's funny because he doesn't agree with purgatory. I'm sure he doesn't agree with praying for the dead. I'm sure he don't agree with all that stuff. But see, he ain't never read all that stuff in the Apocrypha because you ain't reading it anyway. So you don't even know that you have just subscribed to something that you don't even agree with. You don't
That's
even
right.
know what you're doing because you're not even reading. You're just doing what somebody else is doing. And so I'm going to share something with the audience today. You know, this has been a difficult time, as you can imagine. I love my husband so dearly and so much. And even in the midst of everything that he has done, I still maintained my position that if he got out tomorrow, I would be there. In the midst of the hurt, in the midst of the pain, in the midst of everything else, I said I would still be there. And after listening to that audio a day before Tuesday's airing, and I sobbed because it hurt so bad. And I could remember how numb I was on that day. That's how I even got through that. That's how I even got through it. So I remembered it, but I wasn't numb 2 days ago when I listened to it. So all the pain that could not get through on that day got through, and I was hurt. And so after Tuesday night, I was broke down. Not crying, but just broke down. And I was angry. And when I woke up Wednesday morning, I was angry. And luckily, all that subsided by the time we got to the 8 o'clock show. But when we got to that 8 o'clock show, if you notice, there was a difference between Wednesday's Ange and Tuesday's Ange. Because Tuesday's Ange was still sad about the whole situation. But Wednesday's Ange was like, oh, heck no. This total crazy nonsense that somebody calling themselves a husband and a man brought to his wife isn't worth being heard about. It's so foolish. Oh, wow. I pray that the Lord has mercy on his soul, because when he get there, if he don't turn back and repent and figure out how to fix his wrongs, which at this time it don't look like he's going to be due. Wow, it's a mess. And I thank God that I don't have to deal with his position, because he ain't even going to be able to look at himself when he wake up from the madness. And here I'll just be moving on with my life. And he is going to continue to be in hell. Go ahead.
Well, while this officer was in there interjecting, advocating divorce. Now, before I, get to what I want to get to, Sister Ange, you and I have been dealing with each other. I got you, February 15, 2017, correct?
Yes.
Okay. From February 15th all the way up until now, have I or SOG or Shield Squad or any Christian alike, have we ever advocated for you to divorce your husband?
No. In fact, let me go a step further.
All right.
Even when I said I'm done with it and I'm about to get rid of him myself, they said no and put me in that Bible. And I said, I don't care. And they kept saying, no, but Christ doesn't want that. So they pushed me to not do it even when I wanted to. So I want to show the stark contrast between IUIC and the Shield Squad. One says, oh, if she don't believe Jesus is black, by the way, of which you don't know what my belief is, one way or the other, frankly, you got to divorce her. And the other said, I know he's terrible, vile, disgusting human being like you say, but you still need to stay and try to work it out. That's what we're dealing with here. Like I said, there's two characters in the Bible, Satan and Christ, and everything else is just one or the other. So you're either exhibiting the traits of Christ or you exhibiting the traits of Satan, and there are no in-betweens. So I just gave you an example of even when the person is deserving of it. One group said, still don't do it, my sister. And the other group said, my brother, if she don't believe Jesus is black, you got to get rid of her because somewhere in this Bible, of which we still can't find, Christ said, if they don't believe he's black, then you gotta put a bill of divorcement out there. Exactly. So all of us in our right mind know it's hypocrisy. And as time progresses and other things come and are said, you'll understand how severely satanic this has been. Severely. And so I'm all about personal responsibility. So I love my husband dearly. All about personal responsibility. My husband, even in the midst of the deception, made a choice. He made a choice. He chose the officer of IUIC and the men of IUIC over his wife. And that's something he's going to have to live with. That is something he's going to have to answer to Christ for. And that's something that he's going to have to answer for the rest of his life. And so today, while they're stripping you of your emotions and your mental capacity is diminished and you can't even know if you're going up, down, left, right, in, out, that may be going now, but that's not going to go forever. See, the conscience, what the layperson calls the conscience, you are suppressing right now. But what the spiritual people call the Holy Spirit, know that for a time you may be able to suppress it, but not for a lifetime. So right now you're not dealing with it. Oh, but a lifetime is a long time if the Lord allows you to live. Your mind won't be able to turn off. And everything that you did to your wife that I haven't even discussed yet will be revealed. And I'm going to put it to the test of you and the doctrine of IUIC saying that you were following Christ. You are godly and you are doing, according to you, the commands of the Bible. We're going to test that out because what does the Bible say? What does the Bible say about testing? Which was a command that y'all never read about. Where are we going? Hold on. Well, so you know that you're supposed to test all things. You test it. So we're going to show, like I said, I don't have to listen to your doctrine to determine if you're following Christ or Satan. I just need to look at how you walk. Yeah. So I had a wonderful husband. See, that's the good news here. The good news is that I don't have to be dishonest about who I was married to. He was fabulous. He was a wonderful man. And so all I got to do is compare the man you were to the man you are and see if those good traits still exist. And they don't. And you can't even say they do. You can't even say they do. I'm going to share one more thing before I put myself back on mute.
Yes, ma'am.
During the last time I saw my husband, we had a conversation where he was being abusive as normal. And I said to him, so babe, can you said that you respect and love your wife. Can you name me one person outside of IUIC who you would be willing to talk to me the way you are talking to me in this house in front of? Just name me one person. He couldn't do it. He started to look at the floor. I respect my wife. Okay, I didn't ask you that. What I said was, name me one person outside of IUIC who you would be willing to talk to me the way you are talking to me in this house in front of. Those crickets that me and Cherry have come to know and love came up because he couldn't name one person. He couldn't name his parents. He certainly wasn't going to name nobody on my side. He couldn't name anybody. He couldn't name anybody. So then I said to him, well, babe, so if I decided to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments the way you talking, I can't expect any change in our relationship, can I? Because according to you, you respect me right now and you're not doing anything wrong. And he looked, well, what you talking about? I said, because currently, according to you, you respect and love your wife. So if I started to do what you wanted to do, there's no need for a change because you're already respecting and loving your wife, right? No, our relationship, it would change. But why would it change? Because it don't make no sense. If I'm respecting and loving you, then there's nothing to change. I'm already modeling Christ. So there's no change necessary. And he just looked at the floor. Exactly. So see, I would never have to tell a lie on my husband because I love my husband. And there is nobody before he got into IUIC who can even tell you anything bad I said about him. Nobody, because that's my husband. And so there, I don't have to tell nobody nothing about him. He wasn't perfect and everything he did wasn't perfect. But there is nobody who can come to you and say, I've ever said anything about my husband negatively prior to him getting to IUIC because it didn't need to be stated. Because it's not about that. And by the way, the person who brought other people into our marriage was my husband. He did. He brought IUIC and that officer and whoever else he's consulting with into our marriage. And so he's going to have to live with what he did to our marriage. So he can say out of his mouth, oh, you're 100% responsible for why we are where we are. Because we see nobody in their right mind even believes that. Nobody in a marriage would believe that. And so you all can go on along with all the traits that make you a coach. Because every time you speak, every time you call in and ask a question that don't have nothing to do with the testimony and the topic at hand, every time you write a comment with full of nonsense, it shows exactly what we've already been talking about. So keep on proving us right. Thank you.
Woo. There we go again. So I brought up Mark chapter 10 verses starting here at I'm gonna start at verse 8. And it says, and they twine and become one flesh. So then they are no more twine, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man put asunder. I don't understand why y'all don't understand that. And in the house, his disciple asked him again of the same manner. Verse 11. And he said unto them, this is Jesus speaking, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another committeth adultery against her. Verse 12. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she commits adultery. So again, Jesus didn't leave any room when he spoke on this. Now, let's go here real quick. Let's go here because, sorry, I don't know why this just did that. That was not what I wanted. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Going back. Sorry, y'all. I hit that button and I didn't mean to, but here we go. Let's go here. All right. Jesus, this is right here. All of this. Notice what it says, divorce. Okay, so Jesus is addressing divorce. Now let's go here to verse 8. Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your heart was hard. It was hardened, meaning that you were mean anyway. But it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, so that can carry what? Adultery, that can carry, fornication, that can carry homosexuality, that can carry any one of those things, and marries another woman, commits adultery. Where is not knowing that Jesus is black in here? Okay. It's not there. Where is it where Jesus said, well, if you don't believe in wearing fringes, a skirt, a rag on your head, or any of those things which IUIC do, or believe the way IUIC does, that it says for him to divorce his wife? Okay, it's not there. So again, there go that interjection that I was speaking about in Revelations 22. You cannot do that. It doesn't work that way. That is that is wrong. Why do you feel that you need to change the wording of the Bible? Why do you feel that y'all feel the need to literally interject and then subtract? Because you know the words do not support you. The Bible is not supporting what y'all are doing. I watched something last night. Let me steer for a second, a little bit off. Last night, we watched a podcast of IUIC, Casting Down Imagination. I think that's the title of their show, I guess. And a sister called in, and they called her all types of names because she didn't agree with them. They called her attention cat or cat attention whore. They called her a whore because she didn't agree with them. Now, she called in and she asked them to read a passage in the Bible and to address it. And I'm going to show you what she asked them to address. Galatians 3, right? Faith or works of law, right? And she asked them to address right here. I believe it was verse 12. The law is not based on faith. On the contrary, it says, the person who does these things will live by them, right? Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. For it is written, curse is everyone who is hung on a pole. But remember, in the KJV, it says tree. Verse 14, he redeemed us in order that the blessings given to Abraham might come to the Gentile through what? Christ Jesus. So that by faith we might receive the promise of the Spirit. They wouldn't even read what she asked. I wonder why. Now, I had read the version from NIV, but since you guys act like you don't understand any other version, and you want to make that, play these little crazy games, let's see if it says anything different. What did I start at? I started at verse 11. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God, it is evident, for the just shall what? Live by faith. And verse 12, and the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them, right? Okay, verse 13, Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. Verse 14, that the blessings of Abraham might come on the Gentile through what? Jesus Christ, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Why he didn't address that? Because right here, in a few verses, it kills your doctrine. It kills your doctrine. This New Testament, Now, maybe a few little things in the Old Testament y'all can probably get over, because that's where you're trying to live. You're trying to live in Old Testament times and then take on New Testament attributes. It don't work that way. Christ changed everything. He did. His death was just that strong. And of course, he resurrected on the third day, but y'all don't talk about those things. Y'all so busy thumping on these laws. And then Christ came in Matthew, Mark, and even in Luke, and set the record straight about marriage. Telling them, and I'm paraphrasing, hey, look. I know what Moses wrote. He was supposed to write that. And why did he write that? Because y'all was wicked, y'all was evil, y'all was mean. Your heart was just as hard as Pharaoh. So I had him write this down, bill of divorcement, because I know y'all mean, evil, wicked, and I can tell it even today. If y'all Israelite, now if y'all Israelite, y'all the bad part of the Israelite. Bad. But you can't even prove that. And so again, literally Christ said, okay, but look, in the beginning, it was not so. Because if you go back to Genesis 2:24, where it says, when a man leaves his father and mother, and he shall what? Cleave to his wife. And they shall what? Be what? Become what? One flesh. So it wasn't so. God, yes, he hates divorce. This man, her husband, is not divorcing her on the grounds of biblical standards? No, not at all. Because Jesus said, look, the only way that y'all two can divorce, you husband and wife can divorce, is on grounds of adultery. That means sleeping with somebody else. Because again, and I addressed this in a couple of past hangouts, one of my past hangouts, that intercourse, sexual intercourse, when a man and a woman comes together, that's like it's like a form of a covenant. It's an expression of love to one another. Sex is a beautiful thing that God designed. It's holy when it's not abused, of course, when it's not, all that other crazy stuff that's going on in the world today. I don't agree with that. But when a man, husband, woman, wife come together in that way to exchange love, to show love to each other, it's a beautiful thing. And guess what it produces? It produces fruit. It produces a child. That DNA from that man and that DNA from that woman is all combined in that one child. That's a beautiful thing. And it takes God to design that, of course. And I'm sure that, you Hebrew Israelites won't, disagree with me on that. If you do, something is really wrong. But again, that is the covenant. Man, woman, husband, wife, together produce a child. Now, when you go, that man goes in and sleeps with another, or if that woman goes out and sleeps, goes in or out and sleeps with another, that covenant has become broken. You broke your promise, not only to her or not only to him, but to God. Because you told God, I promise, Lord, to take care of, whatever the, vows is. I promise to take care of you through sickness and health till death do us part, yada, yada, yada. I love you always. Cool. And then she says the same thing. I promise you, husband, to take care of you through sickness and health. And God, I promise to take care of your child, the one that you designed specially for me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I do. Go ahead on. And don't take it that I'm just, I'm making a mockery of it. I'm not, because those vows are sacred. I just can't remember it word for word right now. But again, that's a covenant. And then, you know, after the, you know, reception and everything else, husband and wife, they go on their honeymoon or whatever, and they consummate the marriage. They consummate the unity. Now, you see Jesus saying adultery, but you don't see Jesus saying spiritual fornication. Y'all interjected that. Idolatry, y'all interjected that. Thief, lie, y'all interjected that. Y'all interjected everything else other than what Christ said. Now, Sister Ann said something very strong. I believe it was on this particular dialogue on Debate Talk to You, or probably on a previous hangout of mine. She said, just read what Jesus said. Now, she's not telling you to cast away the Bible as a whole, but she's saying focus on what Jesus said. And everything that Christ said is in what? The red, right? In the New Testament. Focus on just what he said. Put away IUIC and all this other rhetoric going on. And even with us, Shield Squad and FOG. And I'm asking, just a Christian side as well, just read the red lettering of what Christ said. And now compare it to what IUIC and the rest of them are saying. Do they match? Do they match their interpretation to what Christ said? I guarantee you, I know for a fact, it will not match. It will not, especially regarding marriage. And I haven't even gone to Paul in 1 Corinthians 7. Because maybe I should go there, because Paul was very detailed as well. And this law thing, I think y'all might want to leave that alone and stop pretending, okay? Because it's almost like y'all, this is what you're doing. You're basically, I know y'all don't hold Christmas or anything, and that's fine. But you know how they have like a play? You know, the reenactment of Christ's birth or whatever. Even, of course, y'all don't hold to that, but I'm just using this as an example, called the Nativity. And again, you got a woman playing Mary and a man playing Joseph, and they might even have a baby doll or an actual baby playing as baby Jesus, right? Is that woman actually Mary? No. Is that man actually Joseph? No. Are any of the characters in the Nativity the actual people from the actual story? No. And especially not the doll that Mary is holding, or the actual baby. No. I compare that to exactly what you're doing with these laws. You're pretending and then telling people this is real. With the feast days and the tabernacles and all that other foolishness that y'all doing, especially IUIC out here in trying to go out here in this so-called wilderness, talking about the Feast of Tabernacles with a tent, and you got a cell phone. Stop it, this is hilarious. They didn't have no cell phones back then. So what you doing with this? If you are trying to do the reenactment, okay, fine. Reenact, cool, but don't say that this is actually real. A reenactment is not real. It's not the actual thing. Not to mention, you don't have, you're missing the temple, you're missing an altar, you don't even know who's today's, if the Levitical priest is even in today. Y'all saying the Haitians are the Levites. And the Levites was the actual Levitical. Stop it. Come on now. Shut up. And then y'all really believe this, and that's what's so sad about this. But anyway, let me go on here to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Now I'm running to Paul. Let's see what Paul say. Okay, Paul, let's make this clear to these people. All right, so we're going to start at verse 4. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband does. Okay, cool. And likewise, also, the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Okay, that's some share of power right there. Okay, verse 5, defraud ye not one the other, except it be in consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer. Okay, cool. And come together again, that Satan tempt you not for inconsistency. Okay, cool. Now let's move on down here a little bit more. This is where we're getting conflict at. Verse 10, and unto you, the married, I command, ye not, I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. But, and if she, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. So, even if she leaves for a while, she's to reconcile back with her husband. And it's literally telling her, don't remarry. Don't remarry. Let's wait a while and let's work this thing out. Okay, let's go. Verse 12. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. Again, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. So this is Paul speaking. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. So even though this sister does not believe the way IUIC believes, and her husband believes wholeheartedly what IUIC believes, but she wants to stay with her husband, he is not to put her away. He is not to put her away. IUIC, you violated that. Verse 13, and the woman which hath a husband that believe not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. This goes for Sister Ange. She believes in her way, in Christian way, and her husband believes in this IUIC thing going on. But again, it's telling her you can't put him away because he still wants to dwell with you. So I see these rules being applied to the husband and the wife. But IUIC, you making it one side. That's a violation. Verse 14, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. Oh, wow. And the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are holy. They're supposed to sanctify each other. IUIC, again, you are in violation of this. Because on this field, I see the husband, I see the wife, I see Christ. Here y'all come running on this field. I tell you, penalty. Too many people on this field. Now we got a big ball of confusion. And I know that y'all gonna try to say, well, SOG and Shield Squad interjected. No, this sister came for help. We never told her, divorce him, divorce him, divorce him, divorce. No, that would be sinful for us to do. That would be out of order for us to do. That is wrong to do. But of course, you know, people don't have conscience. So, okay, let's go ahead on. But if the unbelieving departs, let him depart. So if that unbelieving person wants to go, hey, the Bible's saying let them go. But that's not what this sister said. She's right here in this particular where it says, and the woman which has a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased, I'm sorry, correction, but to the rest, I speak not of the Lord, and yada, yada, yada. If the brother have a wife that believe not, and she pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. That she's number 12. Because she don't believe the way he do. But she still loves her husband. She still wants to be with her husband. She's still willing to be there for her husband. She's verse 12. IUIC, you violated. Going down to back to 14. For the unbelieving husband sanctifies by his wife, and vice versa. The wife is sanctified by the husband. Verse 15. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God have called us to peace. So if they want to go, let them go. That is if the person who does not believe wants to go, let them go. You can't hold them. You cannot hold them. IUIC, you violated that, and you had no business doing this. You're wrong. You're all the way wrong. I don't know how much clearer I can be at this particular point right here, because it speaks for itself. Y'all are out of order. Out of order. Y'all shouldn't have done this. And to her husband, who went along with this, well, bruh, I'm gonna tell you something. Here's the thing. Because you literally put your wife away, other than what Christ set, the boundaries he set it for, which is adultery, bruh, and this is for any of the rest of them, if you go and marry someone else, that marriage is an adulterous marriage. It's an adulterous marriage. It won't be holy. It won't. Because there's nowhere in the scripture where Christ said, well, you can divorce your wife because you don't like her hair. You can divorce your wife because you don't like the way she speaks. You can divorce your husband because she don't believe I'm black. You can divorce your wife because she ain't wearing a dress. Or you can divorce your husband, and I'm mixing it up here, so you know, husband and wife, to keep it fair. You can, because your husband don't wear boots. You could divorce your husband because he went upstairs. You can divorce your wife because she came in 5 minutes too late. That's petty. It's petty. And then you want to cover it up and say she ain't keeping the commandments. She ain't keeping the laws. But what did 1 Corinthians chapter 15 say? Verse 55. What did it say? I'll get it for you. In fact, because I don't like people putting words in my mouth. So it seems like I got to keep showing y'all for some crazy reason. Let me go back here. Let me go back here. Okay. What it said about this law. Y'all getting people in a whole lot of trouble here. Verse 56 says, the sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. That speaks for itself. So, hey, good luck with that. You know, right here, the sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is death. And I see that part 2 just got put up by Brother Sal. Thank you, Brother Sal. I really, really advise and hope and pray that y'all go. For those who didn't catch it last night, please go and listen to part 2. It's very telling, because some of the callers that did call in, they didn't want to really address what this sister was talking about. It's almost like they were scared or did not know how to. I had to literally myself say, hey, hold up. No, we are not talking about this. We're talking about what we got going on this show. And we had to do that quite a few times. Am I right, Sister Ange?
Yes, you are. Yep, you are.
We had to fight. We had to literally fight to get, you know, the Hebrew Israelites to, hey, this is the subject. Address what we are laying before your feet right now. what we talking about right now. And it was very hard. It was crazy. And so I asked that y'all go and listen to it. And to some of you Hebrew Israelites, if you ain't got nothing pertaining to what was talked about last night, regarding the subject of the title, and talk with some sense, please keep your comments to yourself, honestly, because we ain't got time for your foolishness. But yes, but again, there is a issue here. You cannot tell people that you believe in the Bible and then don't exercise it and don't do what it says, especially what Christ says. My question is to you: whose law is higher? Is God law higher, or is it IUIC? Because in this particular case, it showed that IUIC is higher authority for her husband. Because what that man was pushing, that ain't what Christ advocated. And if it ain't something that Christ advocated, or the disciples or the apostles, etc., whatever, wrong again. You're out of order. And to Avia Ye Israel, whatever your name is, sis, go back again, watch it again, clean the wax out your ear, and pay attention. You are not simple, so stop acting as such. You're not simple-minded. You have a brain. Please use it. And I say that for the rest of everybody else. God has blessed you with intelligence. Can we please start using that attribute that God has blessed everybody with? Now, for those who don't have it, we're going to continue to pray for you. But meanwhile, to the ones who know how to be objective and subjective, who know how to think, critical thinking, and think for themselves, please do that. Because IUIC loves the fact that you don't think. That's what they want. If you have not read, you will not know. Paul said to study to show thyself approved. Not to prove yourself to other men, but to prove yourself unto God, and even for yourself. Knowledge is power. Reading, yes, is fundamental. And I know that y'all probably heard this commercial. Is very old, when it was trying to keep people off of drugs, and you seen that person literally take that egg on the frying pan and literally crack that egg and literally throw the egg on. That's exactly how IUIC has these people. This is your brain on IUIC. Any questions? A fried egg, mush, no critical thinking. They don't want your questions. When you do ask a critical question, or you ask a good question, even for some of the members in their actual membership have asked some good questions that they can't answer, or literally contradicts their doctrine, that person is labeled as wicked. That person is labeled as rebellious. That person is told to be quiet. That person is told, don't bring that back up no more. Ask yourself why. Why you don't want me to bring this back up? Y'all supposed to be able to answer this. What did I do wrong? You did nothing wrong. But for them, you did something wrong, because literally it embarrasses them. It embarrasses them. And it literally shows something is wrong. All we are asking for the people who are thinking about going into IUIC, or for the people who are dibbling dabbling with IUIC, and even some of the ones in IUIC that are willing to take a look, go and research. Get beyond this racial thing. We understand racism is there and it's wicked. I come against it. Shield Squad come against it. We all come against it. The Christian community come against it. Now, the Christian identity, they don't. They display racism. The same racism that IUIC and these One West camps are displaying. Their message is the same. There's no difference. The only difference is one puts black folks on top, the other puts white folks on top. That's the only difference. But it's the same garbage. Same message. And I didn't even get over there to British Israelism because that's where it came from. It started with them. Go and research up British Israelism. Then move on to the Christian identity, which consists of the Nazis, the KKK, and all of this. They're doing the same thing. I do have a sister, and I'm not going to give her name because I just received her every bit of a day ago. Yes, she is Caucasian. And guess what? Her husband has gotten involved with the Christian identity. Yes. Now, I don't know if he's a Nazi or a KKK member, but she said he's socializing with them. She don't believe the way that they do. And guess what? Her husband was instructed to put her away. You see this? So give me some time, because it does take time for victims to come out. Give me some time. And we're going to look at her story. We already got Sister Ann's story. I guarantee you they're going to match. They're going to be an exact match, ladies and gentlemen. What do you do then? I already got video of IUIC and KKK Christian identity people. And their message is still the same. Along with British Israelism. I spoke to a brother from Finland. Yes, all the way in the country of Finland. And British Israelism is heavy out there. And he said the very same thing. What's taking place over here in America with the Hebrew Israelites is the same thing that we're dealing with over here in Finland. Hello, what you do with that? What do you do with that? Y'all coming from the same mama. I have to say that your message is coming from the same mama and dad. Hate. God didn't call for us to hate. He called for us to love one another. He said, love me first. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. And then he said, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Guess what? Your husband is your first neighbor to the women. Your wife is your first neighbor to you husbands, to you men. That's the first person that you see when you wake up. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And on these two laws hang all the laws and the prophets. Matthew 22, verses 34 through 40. Go and read it. I didn't write it, I read it. Sister Ange, did you have any final words before I jet up out of here?
No, I don't. You did a good job.
Thank you, dear sister. Well, with that being said, I want to say to all of you, I love you with the love of Christ Jesus. I pray that you accept the Lord and Savior in your heart. To you Hebrew Israelites, I'm called to love you as well. I pray that you stop your foolishness. I pray that you literally stop ripping people's families apart. I pray that you stop lying on God and stop lying to yourself. I pray that you go and do the research, re-examine. One more thing. Sister Ange says something very profound. And I believe that you guys, talking about the Hebrew Israelites, are afraid of. You are afraid to literally call these people out, to literally examine what they're doing, because you know what? You're doing the same thing somewhere. So it's kind of hard for you to call them out without calling yourself out. I'm just saying, maybe, yes, not no maybe, you need to examine. Start with yourself. Examine yourself before you start calling them out. Take a look again. Read again thoroughly in its entirety. Don't play tic-tac-toe with the Bible, because that will cause more confusion. Read it in its entirety. A lot of y'all can't even tell me what the gospel is. That's bad enough. So I'm telling you, I pray and I hope that this will inspire y'all to go and read for yourself. God loves you, and I love you as well. God bless. I'm Sister Cherry Love from the Shield Squad.